The Drift Beacon. A Sci-Fi Story. Part 1. The ship appeared on the edge of human space like a smudge on a lens, an object that shouldn't have been there, drifting without thrust, without transponder, without heat. A dead thing. Yet it broadcast. The signal was faint at first, a thin pulse threading through the static of the outer relay network. Automated filters flagged it as anomalous. Pattern recognition AIs tried to classify it and failed. The pulse repeated every 43 seconds, unwavering, patient, as if it had all the time in the universe. By the time the message reached the linguistics array on Helion Station, the derelict had already crossed into the patrol perimeter. It drifted with the slow, unstoppable momentum of something that had been moving for a very long time. Commander Rhea Voss watched the telemetry scroll across her display. "Trajectory?" she asked. "Straight line," replied analyst Cade Mercer. "No course corrections. No attitude control. It's just coasting." "Origin." Cade shook his head. "Nothing in the charts. No known lanes. No colonies. No outposts. It's coming from the dark." Rhea leaned back, eyes narrowing. The dark. The uncharted gulf beyond the Perseus expanse. A place where human probes went silent and never returned. "Put the signal on main," she said. The room dimmed. A waveform appeared, jagged, uneven, but undeniably structured. The audio that followed was worse. A rasping, layered sound, like multiple voices speaking through torn fabric. No human phonetics. No recognizable linguistic roots. Cade swallowed. "It's repeating. Same sequence every time." Rhea listened, and something in her gut tightened. It wasn't a distress call. It didn't have the cadence of one. Felt declarative, like a statement or a command. "Get the linguists," she said. "All of them." The message. Dr. Ilara Cheen arrived with the weary intensity of someone who hadn't slept in 2 days. Her team followed, carrying portable analyzers and neural mapping rigs. They plugged into the station systems and began dissecting the signal. Hours passed. The derelict drew closer. Finally, Ilara approached Rhea with a tablet in hand. "We've decoded fragments," she said. Rhea braced herself. "And it's not a language we've seen before. Not even close. But there are patterns, repetitions, structural markers." Ilara hesitated. "And something like emphasis. Meaning," Ilara exhaled. "It reads like a warning." Rhea felt the temperature in the room drop. "A warning about what?" "We don't know. The fragments are incomplete. But the tone is consistent, urgent, repetitive, as if whoever sent it wanted to make sure it was understood." Rhea stared at the drifting ship on the holodisplay. A dark silhouette against the starfield. Could it be automated? Possibly. But the message is too intentional. Rhea rubbed her temples. "And the ship itself?" "No life signs," Cade said. "No heat. No atmosphere. It's a tomb." Ilara added quietly, "If it ever had a crew." Boarding. The derelict was designated Object Theta 9. A patrol cutter escorted it to a quarantine orbit around Helion Station. Rhea assembled a boarding team, 6 specialists in sealed suits, armed with scanners and cutting tools. The docking clamps latched onto Theta 9 with a metallic groan. The airlock cycled. The boarding hatch opened. Darkness greeted them, not the soft darkness of an unlit corridor, but a heavy, oppressive void that seemed to swallow the beams of their helmet lights. "Atmosphere is thin," said Specialist Darnell. "Mostly inert gases. No oxygen." "Radiation levels?" Rhea asked. "Low. Surprisingly low." They stepped inside. The interior was vast, larger than any human ship of comparable mass. The architecture was alien, all sweeping curves and ribbed supports, like the inside of a colossal creature's bones. Surfaces were matte black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. "Commander," said Darnell, voice tight, "you need to see this." Rhea moved toward him. He was standing before a wall, or what had once been a wall. Now it bore a silhouette, an outline of a humanoid figure, arms raised, fingers splayed. The edges were crisp, as if the figure had been burned into the surface by an impossibly intense flash. Rhea's breath caught. A shadow. More than one, Darnell said. They found them throughout the corridor. Dozens. Some standing, some crouched, some twisted in positions of terror. No bodies, only the shadows. Alara's voice crackled over comms from the station. Commander, we're detecting a power spike inside the ship. Something's activating. Rhea's pulse quickened. We haven't touched anything. I know. It's automatic. A subsystem is coming online. A low hum vibrated through the deck plates. Lights flickered, dim, sickly blue lines tracing along the walls like veins awakening. Fall back to the airlock, Rhea ordered. But it was too late. A structure at the center of the ship, previously dormant, began to glow. A spire of crystalline machinery rose from the floor, rotating slowly. Symbols pulsed across its surface. The signal's changing, Alara said. It's locking onto something. Rhea stared at the spire. What is it targeting? There was a pause. Then Alara whispered. Us. It's locking onto Helion Station. The beacon. The spire emitted a beam of pale light that shot upward, passing through the ship's hull as if it weren't there. Instruments on the station registered a tight band transmission, focused, precise, and unimaginably powerful. It's a beacon, Alara said. A locator signal. Rhea felt her stomach drop. A distress beacon? Alara shook her head, though Rhea couldn't see it. Her voice was hollow. No, not distress. It's marking us. The shadows on the walls suddenly made sense. Not victims of an accident. Not casualties of a malfunction. Targets. Shut it down, Rhea said. Now. We're trying, Alara replied. But the system is self-sustaining. It's drawing power from, I don't know, vacuum energy? Zero-point extraction? It doesn't obey our physics. Rhea turned to her team. Find a way to disable it. Cut cables, overload circuits, anything. They moved quickly, slicing into conduits, firing thermal cutters at the spire's base. Nothing worked. The material resisted all attempts, absorbing heat, dispersing energy. The beacon grew brighter. Cade's voice came through, trembling. Commander, we've decoded another fragment. Tell me. It says, do not answer. Rhea froze. Cade continued, voice cracking. And another line, it follows the signal. The hum deepened into a resonant thrum that vibrated in their bones. Alara added, barely audible, Commander, something is responding. The return signal. Space itself seemed to shudder. Sensors across Helion Station lit up with impossible readings. Gravitational distortions, quantum shear, fluctuations in dark matter density. Something vast was moving in the void, far beyond the range of human detection, yet unmistakably real. It's coming from outside the galaxy, Alara said. Or no, that's not right. It's coming from between galaxies. Rhea felt cold sweat bead on her skin. ETA? Alara hesitated. Hours. Maybe less. The beacon pulsed faster, as if excited. Rhea turned to her team. We're leaving. Now. They retreated toward the airlock, boots clanging on the alien metal. The shadows on the walls seemed to watch them. As they reached the hatch, the ship groaned. An organic, unsettling sound, like something waking from a long sleep. Commander, Darnell said, voice shaking. The shadows, they're changing. Rhea looked back. The silhouettes were shifting. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, then unmistakably. Arms lowering, heads turning, fingers curling, as if the burned-in shapes were trying to move. Move! Rhea shouted. They dove through the airlock. The hatch sealed behind them. The derelict shuddered, the beacon's light intensifying until it was blinding. Rhea stared through the viewport as the alien ship oriented itself. Its first movement in what might have been millennia. It wasn't drifting anymore. It was aiming. At Helion Station. At them. The decision. Back on the station, alarms blared. The beacon's signal was now a spear of energy stabbing into the void, calling something ancient and hungry. Rhea stood in the command center, helmet off, sweat plastering her hair to her forehead. "We need to destroy that ship," she said. Cade looked pale. "With what? Our weapons barely scratch human hulls, let alone whatever that thing is." Alara stepped forward. "There's another option." Rhea turned to her. "I'm listening. We can sever the station's orbit, push ourselves out of the beacon's lock, break the targeting solution." Rhea frowned. "Will that stop it?" "No," Alara admitted. "But it might confuse it, delay it, buy us time." "How much time?" Alara didn't answer. Rhea exhaled slowly. "Do it." Engines roared. The station lurched. The beacon's lock flickered but held. "It's tracking us," Cade said. "No matter what we do." Rhea stared at the derelict on the holodisplay. "Then we cut the source." "You mean board it again?" Cade asked. "No," Rhea said. "We ram it." Silence. Alara whispered, "Commander, if we do that." "I know." Rhea looked at the shadows burned into the alien walls. The warning message. The inevitability of what was coming. "It's not a distress call," she said softly. "It never was." She straightened. "It's a targeting signal. And we're the target." Part 2. The last transmission. The derelict ship hung in orbit like a malignant star, its beacon stabbing into the void with unwavering precision. Every sensor on Helion Station screamed with warnings: gravitational anomalies, tachyon spikes, distortions in the cosmic microwave background. Something was coming. Rhea stood at the command dais, jaw clenched. "Status of the evacuation transports?" Cade shook his head. "We don't have enough. Helion wasn't built for mass evac. We can get maybe a third of the personnel off station." "Then prioritize non-combat staff," Rhea said. "Scientists, civilians, medical." "And you?" Cade asked. Rhea didn't answer. Alara approached, tablet in hand. Her face was pale, eyes sunken. "Commander, we've analyzed the return signal." Rhea braced herself. "Tell me." "It's not traveling through normal space. It's folding, skipping, like it's using the beacon as a fixed point to anchor itself." "How long?" Alara swallowed. 40 minutes. The room fell silent. Rhea exhaled. "Then we don't have time to run." The plan. The derelict's hull was impervious to weapons. The beacon was self-sustaining. The shadows on the walls were moving. But Rhea had one advantage: the station's reactor. "We overload the core," she said. "Detonate it next to the derelict. If we can't shut the beacon down, we destroy it." Cade stared at her. "That'll vaporize the station." "I know." Alara stepped forward. "Even if we do that, we don't know if it'll be enough. The beacon might survive." Rhea met her gaze. "We don't have another option." Alara hesitated. "There is one." Rhea raised an eyebrow. Alara continued, voice trembling. "The shadows. They're not shadows. They're impressions. Echoes." The crew was overwritten. Their physical forms burned away by whatever answered the beacon last time. Rhea felt a chill crawl up her spine. "What are you saying?" "I think the ship remembers. I think the beacon is tied to the crew's remnants. If we disrupt that connection, erase the imprints, we might destabilize the beacon." Cade frowned. "How do we erase shadows burned into metal?" Alara looked at the floor. "With radiation. A lot of it." Rhea understood immediately. "The reactor." Alara nodded. "A controlled burst. Not a detonation. A directed flood of hard gamma. Enough to scramble whatever imprint is stored in the hull." Rhea considered it. "Will it kill us?" "Yes," Alara said softly. "Anyone within a kilometer." Silence. Rhea looked at the holodisplay of the derelict. The beacon pulsed like a heartbeat. "Prep the reactor," she said. "We're doing it." Boarding again. The boarding team was smaller this time. Just Rhea, Alara, and Darnell. No one else volunteered, and Rhea didn't ask. They crossed the docking umbilical in silence. The derelict's interior was brighter now, illuminated by the beacon's glow. The shadows on the walls had shifted further, some now reaching toward the corridor, fingers elongated, faces twisted. Darnell muttered, "They're almost alive." Alara didn't look at them. "They're not alive. They're data, imprints, the last memory of the crew." Rhea tightened her grip on her cutter. "Let's move." They reached the central chamber. The beacon spire towered above them, rotating slowly, symbols pulsing like veins filled with light. Alara set down the radiation emitter, a compact device wired directly to the reactor control link. "Once I activate this, we'll have 60 seconds before the burst." Rhea nodded. "Do it." Alara hesitated. "Rhea, if this works, the beacon will collapse. But whatever is coming, it's already locked onto us. Destroying the beacon might confuse it, but it won't stop it." Rhea met her eyes. "I know." Alara swallowed. "Then why?" "Because we're not going to let it find anyone else." Alara nodded, tears forming. She activated the emitter. A rising hum filled the chamber. The shadows on the walls began to writhe. The shadows wake. The silhouettes peeled away from the metal like paint melting under heat. They stretched, twisted, forming three-dimensional shapes, humanoid but wrong, limbs too long, heads featureless. Darnell stepped back. "Commander!" "I see them," Rhea said. The first shadow creature lunged. Rhea fired her cutter. The beam passed through the creature, slicing only air. The shadow rippled, then reformed. "They're not physical," Alara shouted. "Then what are they?" Darnell yelled. "Residual consciousness," Alara said. "The crew's last moments, encoded into the hull. They're reacting to the radiation." The creatures advanced. Rhea grabbed Alara's arm. "We need to hold them off until the burst." Darnell swung a plasma torch through one of the shadows. It recoiled, its form flickering. "That works," he shouted. "Keep them back," Rhea ordered. They fought not to kill but to delay. The shadows swarmed, dozens of them, their movements jerky and unnatural. They clawed at the air, leaving trails of darkness. The emitter's hum reached a crescendo. 10 seconds, Alara shouted. A shadow wrapped around Darnell's arm. He screamed as his suit's sensors spiked, temperature dropping, neural interference rising. "Commander," he gasped. Rhea lunged, slicing through the shadow with her cutter. It dissolved, but Darnell collapsed, trembling. "I'm okay," he whispered. "Just cold." Rhea pulled him up. The beacon flared. Alara screamed, "Now!" The burst. Light, white searing absolute. The gamma burst flooded the chamber, washing over the walls, the shadows, the beacon. Rhea felt her suit's shielding strain, alarms blaring in her helmet. The shadows shrieked, soundless, but felt in the bones. They dissolved like smoke in a hurricane, their forms unraveling into nothing. The beacon flickered, cracks spiderwebbed across its surface. Alara collapsed to her knees. "It's working." The spire shuddered. Then it exploded, not outward but inward, imploding into a singular point of darkness before vanishing entirely. The chamber went silent. Rhea exhaled. "Alara, Darnell?" "Status." Darnell groaned. "Alive. Barely." Alara looked up, eyes glassy. "The beacon is gone." Rhea allowed herself a moment of relief. Then the station comms crackled. "Commander Voss," Cade's voice said, trembling. "It's here." The arrival. They returned to the station just in time to see the fabric of space tear open. A rift formed, an absence of light, a wound in reality. Tendrils of darkness unfurled, stretching across the void like the limbs of a colossal creature. Something moved inside the rift. Something vast. Something older than stars. Cade whispered, "It's searching. It's looking for the beacon." Rhea stared at the monstrosity. "Can it detect us?" "I don't know," Cade said. "The beacon's gone. The signal's dead. But It's still scanning. Alara leaned heavily on a console. If it doesn't find a target, it might leave. Rhea nodded. Or it might destroy everything just to be sure. The creature extended a tendril toward the derelict ship. The hull crumpled like paper. The creature probed deeper, searching for the beacon's signature. Finding nothing, paused. Then it turned toward the station. Cade whispered, "It knows." Rhea shook her head. "No, it suspects." Alara looked at her. "What do we do?" Rhea stared at the reactor readout. "We finish what we started." The choice. The station's reactor was primed for overload. A full detonation would create a blast powerful enough to disrupt the creature's form. Maybe even force it back through the rift. But it required manual activation. Rhea turned to her crew. "Get to the transports. All of you." Cade shook his head. "Commander, that's an order." Alara stepped forward. "Rhea, you can't do this alone." Rhea smiled faintly. "I'm not alone. I have the entire station with me." Darnell, still pale, nodded. "We'll make sure the transports launch." Rhea placed a hand on Alara's shoulder. "You said it yourself. The beacon was a warning. Someone tried to stop this thing before. They failed. We won't." Alara's eyes filled with tears. "You don't have to die." Rhea looked out the viewport at the creature looming over the derelict. "Everyone dies. Not everyone gets to choose how." Alara embraced her. Rhea held her tightly, then gently pushed her away. "Go." The final act. The transports launched, engines flaring as they fled into the void. The creature didn't notice. It was focused on the station, sensing the remnants of the beacon's energy. Rhea stood in the reactor chamber, hand hovering over the manual override. The creature extended a tendril toward the station. Rhea pressed the switch. The reactor roared. Light filled the station, pure, blinding, annihilating. The creature recoiled, its form unraveling under the blast. The rift spasmed, collapsing inward. The tendrils dissolved. The void screamed. Then everything went dark. Aftermath. The transports drifted in silence, their passengers watching the distant flash fade into the stars. Alara sat in the cockpit, tears streaming down her face. Cade placed a hand on her shoulder. "She did it." Alara nodded. "She saved us." The rift was gone. The creature was gone. The derelict was gone. But the warning remained. Alara whispered, "How many beacons are out there?" Cade didn't answer, because they both knew the truth. The galaxy was vast, and the thing that answered the beacon had answered before. It would answer again. And somewhere, drifting through the dark between galaxies, other derelicts waited silent, patient, carrying shadows burned into their walls, waiting for someone to find them, waiting to mark the next world. This is the end of the sci-fi short story, The Drift Beacon. Leave a like if you enjoyed the story, and subscribe for more sci-fi stories. Thanks for listening.